If you're a mid-level to C-suite leader who wants to own your growth and figure out your next small, brave move to achieve your leadership goals, you are in the right place. Welcome to the Small Brave Moves podcast, a weekly deep dive on how to be braver in leadership and in life for exceptional results. I'm your host, Nicole Bianchi, best-selling author, certified master executive coach, NSA certified speaking professional, chief bravery officer, and tough talk expert. If you're ready to become a better, braver, and more authentic leader, let's dive in. Welcome back to the Small Brave Moves podcast. My next guest recorded this conversation on her very last day at a company that she gave 32 years of her career to. This alone tells you what kind of leader she is. Denice Biocca rose through some of the most operationally demanding industrial environments in the world to become the CHRO of GE Vernova's $20 billion power segment, building a reputation for being the candid, steady partner that CEOs call when the stakes are at the highest and the truth is the hardest to hear. She built teams and cultures that endure. And on the day we spoke, she was in the middle of the most personal conquer yourself moment of her career, letting go. In this conversation, Denise opens up about what it actually means to release control after 3 decades at work, at home, and in the quiet identity crisis that nobody warned you about when you've tied your worth to a role for most of your adult life. She gets candid about the hardest leadership work she's ever done, not managing a global workforce, but letting go of one, her team, her identity, and her need to keep everyone safe. So this one is as real as it gets. Please welcome Denice Biocca to the podcast. I am so excited to have her here today and to join the conversation around conquering yourself, not others. So welcome, Denise.
Thanks, Nicole. I'm just excited to be here, and it's always good to see you.
Well, Denise, I want to jump into this, and I want to start here because this is where leadership actually gets real. When we talk about conquering ourselves, not others, it sounds good, but in practice, it can be really uncomfortable, which I know you've experienced as well. So take me into a real moment, recent if possible, where you caught yourself trying to control a person or an outcome and had to shift back into leading yourself instead.
Yeah, and I think it's perfect given just where we're at today. So I'm here in my office at GE Vernova on my very last day of work. So after almost 32 years with the company, it feels actually exciting to be here, but also it brings a sense of tension. So I have been transitioning over the last 3 months with an amazing successor. I could not have picked a better person to come in behind me. And in the last 30 days, I've really felt this need to let go. I had to, in fact, just stop attending some meetings because people felt compelled to answer my question, to follow up and do research. And really at this stage, most of my questions are really for curiosity versus I'm driving the direction of the team at this stage. And that's been really hard. The other area, and I don't know about you, Nicole, but for me, so much of my leadership lessons start at home. And so when I reflected on what's an example of me trying to control another person, I think back to the Thanksgiving before last when my son Akeem came home from his first semester at Auburn University, where he was an engineering student, and said, I'm not going back in the spring semester because I'm enlisting in the Army. And there are a lot of mothers, that conversation gets real and very difficult. And it was for me because that was not my plan for my son. In fact, I called the employee assistance program and I said, we need emergency counseling. I was convinced that, like a lot of freshmen engineering students under pressure, he was not doing well and he was panicking and making a different decision because of that. And so I'm on the phone with the EAP counselor and she stops me and she says, Mom, I'm not sure your son is the one with the problem.
Oh, wow.
Me in my tracks. She said, "You have an adult child making an adult decision you don't agree with and you cannot control." And then we went on to talk about the need to let go and have faith that your
Mhm.
son is walking God's path, and have faith
Mhm.
that your son is an adult making adult decisions for himself.
How did that feel? How did that feel in that moment when she's saying it, you're processing it, and how did that feel?
It, for me, an ultimate mic drop moment where you're
Mhm.
just like, holy crap, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
This is me struggling to continue to provide the guardrails and the safety helmets and all the things that I think as moms we are wired to protect and to keep our kids safe. And this was not my plan.
What was the conversation next with your son? I'm curious what your next move was.
Yeah, so for me, it became about meeting him where he was and getting some really sage advice from the counselor, but also other moms who had military experience, who
Mhm.
said, you have a decision to make. You either support and let go, or you run the risk of losing the connection that you have with your son today. And just because you let go doesn't mean you don't care, and it doesn't mean you cannot continue to support. The support looks different.
Mhm.
And so I think about that when I think about like who I am as a leader. I have a very similar wiring at work with my team, and this need to provide the safety helmets and think ahead to what could go wrong and try to prevent it so that they march through their journeys safely.
Yeah. Control versus trust is one of the internal leadership battles that I think about in Conquer Yourself. And Denise, what's coming up for me is you started with today. Well, first, can we just take a moment and say thank you for taking time to record a podcast with me on your very last day when I am sure your agenda is full. So thank you for that. Number two, 32 years of leadership. And this is a big conquer yourself moment, which is such a great reinforcement that conquer yourself, not others. The journey never ends. It is
Yeah.
ongoing for us, even after 32 years, right? Of this leadership excellence and this leadership expertise.
Exactly. No, it really has been a moment of reflection. And again, we've had a couple of these conversations where finding your identity in a transition is a moment of courage. It's a moment to really go inside and not
Yeah.
really think about what you need from others, but who you are and what you need from yourself for yourself.
Yeah. Let's talk about another internal battle, comfort versus courage.
Yeah.
So, what's a conversation you maybe avoided longer than you should have, or one you knew that mattered, but maybe kept pushing off? And what made you finally like step into it?
Yeah, it's so interesting because I have been known as someone who has courage to have the tough conversations with leaders. I am a client partner you want on your team when you want the candid truth with caring. However, when it comes to the team that I lead, I find myself in this situation of wanting everyone to be okay with everyone. And so I find myself in the middle trying to facilitate conflict. And the toughest feedback that I have gotten from my team over the last few years is when I am not strong enough as an accountability focused leader, meaning stop being in the middle of everyone else's problems, step back and hold your team members accountable for resolving their own conflicts. Get out of the middle of it. And again, you could say that is a little bit of control as well. But I needed to have the tough conversation with a couple of my team members to say, this is yours to fix, not mine. And I need you to do it for the benefit of the team, and stop listening to each person's side and trying to navigate and mediate between them. They're both grown adults. They can have those adult conversations with one another. And I needed to get out of the middle of it.
That takes me back to the aviation and you and I doing the team alignment session with your team to get them to really come together and have
Yeah.
those peer conversations and that peer accountability. And so I remember that being such a powerful session because of what every single one of your team, they poured into it and really
Yeah.
left with clarity around how they wanted to lead together in that next piece. So that's
Exactly.
amazing. Hey, senior women leader, if you're the one everyone depends on, the one leading the team, carrying the pressure, managing the expectations, solving the problems, and quietly holding it all together while feeling completely exhausted underneath it all, I want you to know I get that. I've been there too. And more importantly, you don't have to keep leading this way. And that's why I created the Brave Lead Her Ship Retreat experience. My retreats are intimate, luxurious, and deeply transformational, designed for the high-performing women leader who are ready to reclaim their energy, elevate their leadership, and stop overfunctioning their way through life and work. It's not a conference, it's not surface level networking or another room where you have to perform, prove, or hold everything together. It's a deeply curated circle where you get to breathe, be held, think clearly again, reconnect with yourself, and grow alongside some extraordinary women leaders who truly understand the weight that you carry. Every detail is intentionally designed to support that, from the luxurious accommodations to the all-inclusive experience to the executive level coaching, brave conversations, integration time, and restorative wellness experiences woven throughout the retreat. You'll walk away with greater clarity, stronger boundaries, renewed energy, and a completely different way of leading that your team and your family will feel immediately. If that sounds exactly what you need right now, I'd love to personally invite you to explore one of my upcoming retreats at the link in the show notes. Maybe I'll see you soon in the rolling hills of Tuscany, or on the quartz sand beaches of Siesta Key, or maybe even in the energy vortex of Sedona. I'd be honored to hold space for you at the next Brave Leadership Retreat. All right, so we talk a lot about big leadership moments, and I know you've had many big leadership moments, but I'm more interested in the small ones. So what's a small, brave move you made, something that didn't feel huge at the time, but ended up creating a bigger shift than even you expected?
I feel like I'm in it now, and maybe it's the now that kind of clouds your reflection on the history, but it is really leaving my role. And there was this moment where I felt the anxiety of what comes next, and the needing to give myself permission to have the moments of uncertainty and just wallow in it and wrestle in it, and allowing that to open up a journey of discovery and of thinking about what does it mean to be outside of this world that I've lived so long and up in. And I think the struggle for me and what makes it brave is, and you've heard me ask myself this question, like, did I matter here? Was I relevant? If it's so easy for the team to move on without me, what does that mean for who I was here? And that is just a backwards way to think about it. But it is the honest, true, I think, wrestling that we have with ourselves when we tie our identity and our impact to a role that we play, whether it's a role in our family or a role at work.
Yeah. I remember us having the conversation at the Brave Leadership Retreat. And so, question from that retreat, what was the shift? How'd you begin to think about it differently?
It comes back to this notion of wanting to be someone that takes care of others and that keeps others safe. And so you ask yourself question, can we truly gain wisdom from learning through others' mistakes?
Mm,
Probably not. Like there's too
mhm.
much arrogance in it that you really need to face the fire on your own. You need to fall and get back up again on your own. I find myself thinking if humility is a superpower, then being humbled is the path to that power.
Mhm.
And so if I am not kind of letting go and letting the team do, then I am robbing them of the opportunity to gain the same wisdoms I did by making mistakes and growing through them over the years.
Oh, I love that. I hear so often leaders say, it's our need to serve and take care that gets in the
Yeah,
way, even though we're so well intended, right? So well
yeah,
intended.
yeah.
So, what's something about leadership that you had to learn the hard way that you wish
Yeah.
more people understood earlier in their careers?
It follows the same theme that there was this moment, and I've had many of these moments where I felt like if we're not doing it the way I've intended, the way I see it, the way I'm directing, that it might not go the way I think it should. When you're honest with yourself, you're that is really covering up for the real fear. And the real fear is that it'll be wildly successful without you. And if in fact it's wildly successful without you, then why are you here? And what's
Yeah.
in it for you? The tough lesson and the important moment in that is that then what do you do? Why are you here? And what I keep coming back to is I'm here to learn from
Mhm.
others. Like ultimately, when you've come full circle and your team is making decisions and they're taking the risks and they're climbing mountains you could have never imagined, you climb with them, you learn from them. And I think in doing that, it certainly comes full circle, but you'll never stop growing and you never stop being capable of the next mountain of your own.
And what I also hear you saying, Denise, is you created a container for them to thrive and to do that. You held space for them to be able to do that, and not all leaders do, right? And that's part of your legacy that you leave behind. All of those moments and those moves that you've done. I love it. Talk to me about if someone listening is in the exact place right now where you have been and where you're going, what would you tell them to do? Maybe even this week.
Yeah, I think it's taking a beat to reflect. Like, I have always been someone that really enjoyed the journey of self awareness. Like, it never really scared me. Sometimes I have these moments where it's like, oh, holy crap, I wasn't expecting that around the corner. But I think that the times that you have to take the beat, to rest, to recharge, to to peel back that next layer of who you are and who you want to continue to grow to become. So that destination is never realized. You're always on the next hill or the next journey. The individuals that I'm working with that kind of help you in this transition, there's this work that you do to figure out what do you want to do now that you have time for it. Take
Mhm.
care of your health, spend more time with your extended family, pick up a hobby that you've always wanted to do. And I found myself thinking, don't wait. Like I've even said that to those that are like coming behind me on this journey to a transition, whatever that transition is to motherhood, to taking a different turn in your career. Don't be afraid to take the time to build a full life today. Don't wait until you have time on the other side of a transition.
I was just coaching a leader last week who her countdown is less than 12 months. And she's right in the midst of what you're talking about, where she's avoiding the deep inner work, the thinking
Yeah.
around it, because she's fearful of what that next phase looks like. Instead of running towards it, she's almost running away from it. And
Yeah.
so
And Nicole, not to interrupt you, but I just want to make sure that I add this point in because for me, the community that you created last September for those of us that came to the Bravership retreat, it could not have come at a better time for me. I had just made the decision to transition. I was just starting to get ready and to do my own countdown. And I could not have done the reflection by myself as well as I did it in that community of women that I met for the first time at dinner the first night. And by the end of it, like I felt like their story and their journey was enhanced by my own story and likewise. And so I just wanted to make sure that I added that in. That was so important in this road to discovery. So it's not just about picking up the book and finding the quiet time. Yes, those things can help. But for me, the community of women in particular that are in similar stages was absolutely game changing.
thank you so much for sharing that. You and I have had this conversation before about it's lonely on our journey when we kind of
Yeah,
rise to the top of our role and we're looking across the organization, and the confidants and the tight relationships that we could share almost anything with are no longer. And it can
correct.
just feel lonely. And so being able to step into that particular container and do some of that work and really think about it. Oh, thank you. That's awesome. I appreciate that. So as we get ready to say farewell, is there any hints around what that next chapter looks like for you?
Yeah, so I have an opportunity right out of the gate to spend some quality time with my son, who's now more than a year, just a little more than a year into his journey as a part of the 82nd Airborne. And if you've been following the news lately, there's a lot happening in the 82nd Airborne. And so the chance to just see him and spend some quality time with him at this stage is so important. And then I am looking forward to the next professional act. It's right around the corner on the horizon. Not something I can make public right now, but
Sure.
maybe by the time this airs, it will be public. But I couldn't be more excited about the doors that have been opened for me and just the chance to continue to grow with a new team in a new way, and more to come on that. But I'm excited about it.
I can't wait to see you light it up. And will you please tell Akeem thank you for his service? We so deeply appreciate it. So thank you so much, Denise. Thank you for your words of wisdom. I knew it was going to be an electric conversation, and I just deeply appreciate everything you bring to leadership, including the vulnerability and the awareness and the recognizing that we're not all going to be perfect, but it's a journey, right? It's a
Yeah.
journey that we're on. So thank you for taking time on your very last day to hang with me. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Nicole. It has been an absolute delight.
Thank you for joining me for this episode of the Small Brave Moves podcast. If you're wanting to take this work even deeper, I'm here to help. From engaging in inspirational keynote speeches to transformational coaching and workshops for leaders and teams, page-turning books, online courses, and enlightening leadership development retreats. There are so many ways that we can work together to take your leadership to the next level. For more information, check out the show notes, and let's do this together. One small brave move at a time. See you next week.